In this video, I'm going to be sharing footage from the SIRUI 35mm f1.8 Anamorphic lens so that you can determine whether this lens is for you. All this footage has been shot on the Panasonic GH6 using the Micro Four Thirds version of the lens. The lens itself is really solid, featuring an all-metal build quality. The aperture is declicked, so you can very smoothly adjust the aperture ring. The focus is manual, and to focus pull is just over 180 degrees and also feels really smooth. I really love the look of this lens. The footage is incredibly sharp. In addition to this 35mm, there's also an entire set from SIRUI, which is extremely affordable when compared to others out there. One of the differences with these more expensive lenses is that you'll get a greater squeeze factor, which basically means that the anamorphic effect is more pronounced. Bigger oval-shaped bokeh, stronger flares, and even more resolution when you de-squeeze the footage. This set, however, has a 1.33 times squeeze, which isn't the strongest anamorphic squeeze out there, but perhaps that might work for you because you're maybe wanting a more subtle effect. Now, that's not to say that you won't get oval bokeh or lens flares, because as you can see here, you definitely do. In this set, you can also get 24, 50, and 75mm lenses. I picked the 35mm first since it's really versatile. It's not super wide, but also not super close. Now, if you were to only get one lens, then I'd recommend this one for that very reason. The next lens that I'm going to purchase is going to be the 75mm, and that way I've got the 35mm to get wide to sort of mid-size shots, and then the 75mm to get really nice close-ups or far away shots. So if you were to get two lenses, then these would be the two that I'd recommend. One of the other big advantages of shooting anamorphic is all the extra resolution that you get. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the anamorphic 35mm lens versus a regular spherical 35mm lens. You can see just how much more resolution you get horizontally when you have an anamorphic lens. So, what sort of resolutions can you get? Well, let's start by talking about the maximum resolution on the Panasonic GH6, which is 5.8K up to 30 frames per second. Being a 1.33 times squeeze means that once you de-squeeze this footage in post, you multiply 5760 by 1.33, which then gives you 7660 by 4320, which is a 16:9 aspect ratio. However, you can of course crop the top and the bottom to get other aspect ratios, as you've just got so much resolution there to play with. Also keep in mind that on cameras like the GH6, this can actually be raw footage as well, which is really amazing for a camera at this price point and makes the GH6 such a cinematic powerhouse. Now moving on, if you want to shoot slow-mo, such as 60 frames per second, then you only need to drop down the resolution on the GH6 a little bit to 5.7K. When de-squeezed, you now get 7618 by 3024. This is just a little bit wider than 239:1. Now, if you want to shoot at 120 frames per second, then your maximum resolution on the GH6 is going to be 4K. When de-squeezed, this gives you right around 239:1. Those are just the top resolutions that I typically use. There are so many more on the GH6, and you can shoot anamorphic on any of them. It's just going to give you a variety of different resolutions depending on what setting you choose. Now, the GH6 has so many features to support anamorphic shooting. First up, it de-squeezes your footage so that you can see a preview on your camera of what the footage is going to look like in the edit once it's de-squeezed. You can choose which squeeze factor your lens has. It also has a stabilization setting just for anamorphic lenses, where you can select your squeeze factor and then it's going to optimize the stabilization for that particular lens. The other thing that is super handy is this framing setting, where you can overlay any aspect ratio in order to see what it looks like. So no matter which setting you choose, as long as you know what aspect ratio you want your final product to be, you'll always be able to see a preview of that whilst shooting. Now, do keep in mind that all of this extra resolution is squished into the resolution captured by your camera, and you do need to go through the process of de-squeezing this footage in your video editor in order to make it usable. So, if you're wanting to learn how to do that step by step, then check out this next video. I'm going to be covering the entire process inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.